Hello, Mat 1 students. Today we're going to be looking at the keychain activity as one of our first activities or assignments that we're going to be completing in Onshape. To complete this activity, we're going to get started with utilizing Onshape and creating a document. And in our Onshape assignment, we have a few things that are important for us to include. We want to make sure that our keychain follows this size requirement here, so it's no larger than 1.5 inches wide and 2.5 inches in length. We also want to make sure that our perimeter is just not a simple shape that we can draw using any of the ordinary tools that are in this program. So that would include rectangle, square, circle, or even an ellipse. We want to have some uniqueness to this project in our designs. We also need to include something cut out of the middle in addition to the key ring hole. And you will need to have a hole for this to be able to be attached to your keys if we have the opportunity to make this here in class. And that key ring hole needs to be 0.15 inches in diameter. We also are then going to extrude our project, and we're going to create a drawing that would show dimensions and what this would look like. So we're going to get started today with just the drawing portion in Onshape, and then we'll talk a little bit about how we create an actual PDF that you'll submit here in Schoology in a separate video. So I have Onshape open, and here's an example of what I mean by a unique shape or something that's not a simple item that we're going to create here in class. So as you can see, I started out with what looked like a half circle almost, and I created a saw blade from that. Now I also have my hole for my key ring, and again this is 0.15 inches. I've also extruded this, as you can tell when it's an isometric. So you can see that it's actually the thickness of our plastic that if we get to make this, we'll be using 1/8 inch acrylic. And the last thing that's missing currently is the fact that I don't have something cut out of the middle. Now, what I will be showing you in my example today, or in a different example, is the option to use the text tool that would clearly identify something that's going to get cut out of the middle. Ultimately, we're getting to a drawing, and it's going to look something like this, where I have a title, a page with a title block, and I have my drawing on there. I have it dimensioned. I have identified something that's cut out of the middle. In this case, it's text. And I have my key ring hole dimensioned as well. So let's go ahead and get started. The first thing I'm going to suggest you do now is to save or make sure that your file name says your last name and then also keychain and what block you have the class. So here's my example of that. The reason I tell you to put your name with any files that you create is because there's always that opportunity for you to share your work with me virtually, so that if need be, I wasn't in the classroom, I could work with you on your drawing from a distance. And so this gives us an opportunity to kind of work together without having to be in the same classroom. So we're going to start by creating a sketch. The first thing it's going to ask us to do is select our sketch plane. And as we've talked about in our example practice problems, we want to make sure that we hide the front and the right plane, because everything that we draw here in this class is always going to be done in top view. So it asks us to select our sketch plane, and we're going to select top. The next thing we're going to do is draw a rectangle, and it's going to be the overall size that we can't go beyond. So we know that the length can't be any bigger than 2.5, so 2.5. So we'll type that in and hit enter. And then we'll do the same thing for the width, which is 1.5, and hit enter. And so that locks us in with those dimensions. From here we can go ahead and design whatever we want that keychain to look like on the inside of this box. That way we know that we don't go beyond the size requirements that we are being told to do. So the first thing I'm going to do is use the spline tool, because I think the spline tool is going to give me a shape that's going to look a little bit unique for this project, and it meets the requirement that it can't be a simple shape. Oops. So I'm going to just click anywhere in here. And remember, a spline tool is cool because it allows us to create curves and arcs, and we can do unique shapes here without being a simple object. And so there's my keychain outside perimeter shape. Now I also want to make sure that I have met the requirement that I need a circle, and that circle is going to be our key ring hole. So we're going to go ahead and unclick our spline tool or hit escape, either option. And we're going to click on the circle tool, but we want to make sure that we are choosing center point circle. And so I want my keyring hole to be closer to the left side of this drawing here. And now I'm going to type in my dimension, which again is 0.15 inches. And the last thing I would need to do is put in something else in here. Now I could just draw a shape if I wanted to, or something else if I had a desire to do that. So that's an idea and an option. I could also go around and use another shape, or I could do some trimming if I wanted to and change this up a little bit. So there's a lot of different options. I'm keeping this very simple just to show you the basics of what is expected of you. So I just want to go ahead and put in one letter here just to show you that I just want to use the text tool at least once here. So I'm going to go ahead and hit the green check mark, and that's going to give me a P that's going to cut out in the middle there of my keychain. And so now I'm okay with the drawing that I have. The only thing I want to do next is just delete that outside box that I no longer need. So I'll click on those lines and just delete those. Once I've done that, I can go ahead and hit the green check mark, and now I can go ahead and create an extrusion. And we've talked about this in our examples earlier. So to create an extrusion, it's the icon to the right of sketch. You're going to select everything that you would like to extrude. Okay, you'll notice that you can select the inside of a letter. However, just realize that that would get cut out if we were going to cut this on the laser, so you wouldn't actually see the middle of that P in my example here. So we want to go ahead and extrude this an 1/8 inch, so 0.125, and we're going to hit the green check mark. And if I put this in isometric view, I can see what that looks like. So there is my keychain example. From here then, we're going to watch another video, or you're going to be able to watch another video to see how we create a drawing and then how you are going to submit this to Schoology. I hope that you found this example helpful, at least to get you started. And if you have any other questions, feel free to ask me, or if there's an intern in the classroom, you're more than welcome to ask them as well.